Welcome to Collective Worship. This July 2020, we're continuing our series of reading from Children of God, written by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and just following the stories as we go along. So, last time we spoke about how the church was born and the disciples spread the good news. And this time we're talking about a character called Saul, but he becomes Paul later on, and he's called to lead. So let's hear what that story is about. We'd find some of this story in the Bible, in a book called the Acts, or the Acts of the Apostles, roughly about chapter 9. Anyway, let's read it. The temple leaders in Jerusalem were jealous of all the people following Jesus because Jesus had healed so many people before he had died. He had taught wonderful stories, and people believed that God really, truly loved them. And the authorities had put some of those people who followed Jesus in jail, and sadly some were even killed. The believers of Jesus were especially afraid of one man. His name was Saul. He was commissioned by the authorities of the time to hunt down the people that were following Jesus. But you know what? One day, when Saul was on his way to arrest Jesus' followers in Damascus, that's a city a little bit further away from Jerusalem, suddenly he fell to the ground, blinded by a bright light. He heard a voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why are you attacking me?" It was Jesus speaking to him. For 3 days Saul was blind and did not eat or drink. On the 4th day he had a change of heart, and now he believed that Jesus was the Son of God. In fact, amazingly, another person who was afraid of him came and laid hands and prayed on him, and that's why he could see. And so Saul was baptized, and many of you might have been baptized, or another word, christened, in our local churches. And he changed his name to Paul. He wrote many letters to encourage the new churches in distant lands across the Roman Empire. And many people asked Paul questions, including what was most important to God. And Paul answered, faith, love, and hope. But he said the greatest of these is love. But what is love, they said? And in a very famous reading that we sometimes hear at weddings, he said this: love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy or boast, it is not arrogant or rude, it does not insist on its own way, it is not irritable or resentful, but it rejoices not in wrongdoing, but in truth and justice and forgiveness. Truth, justice and forgiveness. Amen.